everyone. Our topic of discussion for today will be how to study the mathematics subjects. I will be giving you tips for solving math problems. So basically, mathematics is a subject that you cannot avoid. Some love it, but if we're being honest, most people hate studying maths. Why? Because they think mathematics is a difficult subject. The importance of maths for students has never been greater. Most university courses include some level of mathematics, while almost every profession uses mathematics in some form on a daily basis. So you see how important is the mathematics subject in your daily life. The problem many students have is that they don't know how to study mathematics to get good results. Math is one of those subjects which you can easily spend hours studying but end up none the wiser. However, much you have studied, if you cannot solve the problem on the day of the test, you are lost. So thankfully, there are some techniques for studying mathematics that you can do regardless of your level. You may even end up loving mathematics by the end of this video. So according to Albert Einstein, it's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer. So let's start. Now I will be giving you some tips for solving math problems. So tip number 1, practice, practice, and more practice. It is impossible to study math properly by just reading and listening. To study math, you have to roll up your sleeves and actually solve some problems. The more you practice answering math problems, the better. Each problem has its own characteristics, and it's important to have solved it in numerous ways before taking the exam. There is no escaping this reality. To do well in math exam, you need to have solved a lot of mathematical problems beforehand. So in here, really patience is a virtue. So let's move on to tip number 2. Review errors. When you're practicing with these problems, it's important to work through the process for each solution. If you have made any mistakes, you should review them and understand where your problem-solving skills let you down. Understanding how you approach a problem and where you went wrong is a great way of becoming stronger and avoiding the same mistakes in the future. So once you commit errors, do not give up, focus, and still find for solutions on how to solve for that particular problem. Okay, so let's move to tip number 3. Master the key concepts. Do not try to memorize the processes. It's much better and rewarding in the long run to focus on understanding the process and logic that is involved. This will help you understand how you should approach such problems in the future. Remember that math is a sequential subject, so it's important to have a firm understanding of the key concepts that underpin a mathematical topic before moving on to work on other, more complex solutions which are based on understanding the basics. Next, tip number 4. Understand your doubts. Sometimes you get stuck trying to solve part of math problem and find it difficult to move on to the next stage. It's common for many students to skip this question and continue on to the next. You should avoid doing this and instead spend time trying to understand the process of solving the problem. Once you have grasps on understanding of the initial problem, you can use this as a stepping stone to progress to the remainder of the question. Okay, so tip number 5, create a distraction-free study environment. Mathematics is a subject that requires more concentration than any other. A proper study environment and a distraction-free area could be the determining factor when solving complex equations or problems in geometry, algebra, or trigonometry. Studying with music can help create a relaxing atmosphere and stimulate the flow of information. Having suitable background music can foster an environment of maximum concentration. Of course, should steer clear of people and Eminem. Instrumental music is the best thing in these times. Next, tip number 6, create a mathematical dictionary. Mathematics has a specific terminology with a lot of vocabulary. I suggest you create notes or flashcards with all the concepts, terminology, and definitions you need to know. You should include their meanings, some key points, and even some sample answers so you can consult them at any time and recap. And then finally, apply myths to real-world problems. As much as possible, try to apply real-world problems when approaching mathematics. Math can be very abstract, sometimes so looking for a practical application can help change your perspective and assimilate ideas differently. Probability, for example, can be used in everyday life to predict the outcome of something happening and determine whether you want to take a risk, such as if you should buy a lottery ticket or gamble. Oh, and don't forget that it's also important to have confidence in yourself and face the exam knowing that you have prepared properly. So notice that we have the following tips on how you can easily solve the mathematics problems. So I hope these tips will be helpful for you in your studying of mathematics.